Audio.
I think we should be good. I think we're okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I will call the regular City of White Lakes Council meeting to order for Monday, October 14th, starting a little late, 5:37. Roll call, please.
Councilors Grams. Here. Jarvela.
Here.
Ekman. Matheson's absent, and Mayor Scott.
Here. All right, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Alrighty, moving on to the consent agenda. Has everybody had a chance to read through that? Any comments or changes, discussion for that? Hearing nothing, I'll ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda as written. So, motion from Councilor Jarvela. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Councilor Grounds. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Moving on to the guests and citizens forum. Is there anybody that wishes to say anything or any questions or anything?
Yep. I'd like to know where we are at, the arena, over, wondering if we're over, what are we doing to make up that money?
Sure. So I know finances had come from the state, grant monies allocated to that. I guess specific to the budget, I'm not entirely sure where it's at currently.
With Dean gone.
But yeah,
Yeah,
I guess
and
the rec
He's
director
not
isn't
here.
here.
Yeah.
Uh,
Director.
Yeah,
And over, we've been looking for a way to pay for it other than dipping into the citizens tax, since we have no business taxes.
sure. Yeah, I guess during the setting of the levy, that's not something that was a super big discussion where we needed to be increasing the levy by a lot to pay for any sort of shortfalling. So I don't.
Yeah, there wasn't any discussion about, we're, over budget for the,
Nothing going on for a year.
no.
Not that we discussed, no.
Any extra.
I mean, there's things for like refrigeration and, I mean, general budget items,
But
but
nothing as an overage for this construction project, no.
So going forward, is the arena is going to pay for itself.
That would be the ideal scenario, yeah, yeah, yep.
Right when I first to school, it did. I mean,
I know, in hiring the new rec director.
They had candy places, they charged to get in, they had roller skating, they had dances. I mean, they had.
Yeah.
Like he's looking into all kinds of different,
Good.
and I heard that the arena might be something I think to try to get more events and stuff.
That's excellent. I mean, it's not just the funds it's gonna bring to the arena, but the extra it's going to bring to this community and having stuff for people to do. Other than going to the DSW, there's not a lot here.
right. I think that was a big piece of why for the ice plant, that was a big thing on why they needed to get funds and grant money, but we didn't want another empty building in the middle of town. So, I mean, the same thing with the golf course, even though it doesn't bring in a ton of revenue, I think this year we did a lot better than we usually do. But just providing opportunities for people to do things, even though they don't make the most money, but obviously don't want to put on the backs of taxpayers to make up big deficits.
Like on water carnival property.
Right.
And, we had businesses whose tax dollars would increase because of what they were doing.
Hmm.
But we don't have those businesses anymore. We don't. And from what I understand, he's not actually putting businesses in here. That's what I,
Sure.
he's using it for storage, which.
Oh, over there, yeah.
is that the only retail or storage.
With the store over there, I guess, yeah, I don't know all the specifics of, I mean, they've talked about what they're gonna do and not do with it, but it changes, so I don't know. With it being privately owned, I guess there's not much
You'll have,
to be say or do other than zone.
he'll have to apply for building permits for whatever he's doing now. And if he does go into the storage unit, that'll go through our zoning officer, and then it would have to come back to the council. If, I don't know what the zoning is right now, if the zoning for storage units would be different than whatever commercial zoning we've got.
Cause I don't imagine that would bring the tax dollars in here, and that's what you guys need to be looking for.
Well, tax dollars, the type of business isn't necessarily going to determine the tax dollars. They use a commercial class rate with the property tax. And that could cover any number of commercial entities. So if a commercial storage entity may pay the same taxes as a store would, unless they were to calculate based off the inventory.
They also bring in income when they sell something, don't you have a city tax that's attached to items being sold on a store?
You're talking like a sales tax?
Yeah.
That's mandated, that's by the state. City doesn't have a
You
sales.
don't have a
City doesn't know.
No.
Something you should look into.
Yeah, I think Duluth is the closest city that has a sales tax. Yeah, Duluth is the closest one. Mhm. Yeah, you're just paying the state and then that little county, there's state and county.
And do you have a hidden tax in there too?
Yeah, the hotel and campground pay, yep, you get the tax that goes to the Iron Range Tourism Bureau, and then that's
Oh, yeah.
goes to the Tourism Bureau, but then we benefit from their promotions and advertising of events and stuff. They have, they do a lot of advertising of the whole range, so that's where that tax. There's a lot, yeah, they have a lot going on. They promote a lot of local events on their Facebook page and on their website. Yep. Discover the range.
With
the tourism.
People on page, we use Facebook, personally, I use Facebook for the dog videos.
Yeah. They do have make booklets too. They still make the old fashioned advertising
Where
booklets.
would I find them?
There was one out in the hallway. There was some Discover the Range and then
If I were out, like, when I go to
all the
restaurants.
like libraries, city halls, any information centers, they have.
Booklets in there, and tell them, here's Hoyt Lakes is. for. Here's-
Yeah, the hotel should have them, City Hall has them, the library should have them. There used to be some at the Haven and the VFW. I don't know if they have new, but it's for the visitors. When they come here, they can take the brochure and then it's in every city from Grand Rapids to International Falls. So they service the whole area and they still do printing and social media, but yeah, they still print for us. But you need both. You need all kinds, yeah.
I just, until I know you have a Facebook page. I just found out from the library one, like, I think that's because they posted on something about the Hoyt Lakes page at their. And I found out they had a Facebook page.
Any other questions or comments from you, Mitzi?
No, I'm good.
All right, perfect. Oh, awesome. Well, thank you for coming down. Anybody else? All right, nobody else. We'll move on to reports from city staff. City clerk Snetzinger is filling in for Administrator Wyber. Feeling well today.
Yeah, I don't have anything to report.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Library Director Lammy.
Maybe library. So if you want to go to the VFW, come to the library. All of which are free and open to everyone. And this month they include take and make kits that we started giving out today, and they are while supplies last. We have mini pumpkin painting Thursday and Friday from 1 to 3 each day, and that is for everyone. Tuesday Creations is October 21st at 11 a.m. and we're going to learn about the spice blend Zatar. Starting October 22nd, for 5 Wednesdays, 321 Art Studio will be holding a weekly acrylic painting class from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Please contact the library to register as space is limited. Last Wednesday, we started Legos at the Library from 3:30 to 4:30. All ages are welcome to join us. And these events will be every other Wednesday through December. On October 29th at 6 p.m., we will host Joe Licky, our city attorney, and Joey Nemeth from the funeral home, who will discuss estate planning and pre-planning for one's funeral and end of life. We are open until 7 that day. The library board is meeting on October 20th at 5 p.m. instead of October 21st due to some quorum issues. And then we invite everyone to stop by on the 31st for a Halloween treat from the library, and we won't be doing tricks.
All right, thank you. Very busy. Public Works Director Snetzinger.
Good, just give a heads up to everyone, the detour that is taking place due to the road construction on Kensington, County Road 665. Right now, residents of Colby Ridge, Lakeview, Kenwood Apartments, etc., need to go down Kensington, past the Lucky Seven, around the corner to the VFW, turn to the left, go through Colby Ridge, and from there you can gain access to Lakeview Addition as well as the Kenwood Apartments. That is expected to last through this Saturday. By next Monday, they will be moving on to the last section of the road up by the County Road 665 at Hampshire near the cemetery. That is the last intersection to take place. That will have a detour as well associated with it for just a couple of days. That's a short stretch that they have left to finish. So to gain access to a new range of mine site, your site, residents at the Laura County Road 665, you will not be able to go past the cemetery on Hampshire Drive, but the whole road of Kensington County Road 665 will be able to that access. Just don't turn at the Catholic Church and go down. Other than that, with demolition on Bow School, it's going well. There's only a couple of exterior walls left standing. That's continuing to go as we speak. They hope to have that wrapped up. It's going by deer season, a couple weeks ago. This week, Public Works is going to start tomorrow. We're going to start blowing out all our seasonal water sources, which are the cemetery, community garden, ball fields, golf course, etc. So all those will be winterized and cold. And the following week, next week, we're going to start some tree removal out at the campground. So if you see a sign up or any activity going on, use caution on the trails and the road flood.
All right, thank you. Public Utilities Director Benda.
Just a little bit, so we finished up our storm ditching, that went fairly well, we got quite a bit of storm ditching done this year. Try to get a little bit of budget money next year to do the same thing. Obviously, a lot of our storm ditches haven't been done in quite a long time, so we're working on it, but it was good to see them, they all look pretty good. The construction seems to be doing pretty good. They'll be doing the water tie-in tomorrow. So we won't be running our water tie-in during that because they're waiting water feed. So that'll take up most of our day tomorrow, dealing with Dorchester tie-in of our main water line. My partner, my one other employee was gone all last week, so I've been
jeez.
kind of a one-man show for the last week, trying to get things winterized and everything. So I've been pretty busy with that. And in doing so, I fell a little bit behind on my biosolids hauling where I'd like to be. So with Kelly coming back tomorrow and then probably next week, it hit it real hard here in October before we freeze up more than a lot of haul anymore. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I believe for now, facilities have both been running really good lately. So yeah, one thing that is on the agenda here, but we had a lift station failure on that last skip. That was pretty significant. That is on the agenda to be talked about here. Get into that. we had a couple pumps that both failed. We were hoping to get them lived through until next year, and then, we had a pretty significant failure, and, thank God it was just boiler water, but we didn't have overflow, so I did have to call, state duty officer and report to the NBCA, and an overflow, couple thousand gallons, which, like I said, is just boiler going on water, and all that is our drinking water that goes through their boiler, their cold boiler system. And because it gets dumped into their lift station, which that's all it's used for. I'll buy it as an overflow. So we can discuss.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, thank you for all your hard work. One man show. Lastly, City Attorney Lewicki, anything from you?
Thanks, Mayor. I don't have anything to say.
Sounds good, thank you. Moving on to reports from elected officials, Councilor Graham.
Nothing to report tonight.
Great. Councilor Deborah.
Bill and I were at the, East Wing, Public Safety Board meeting today, and about the only thing they came up with, maybe she can add to what I've got. The police department is looking at going to a tech service. They have nothing right now for their computers, the radios, or anything. And it was a Fusion Tech, was the name of the company. It's out of Grand Rapids. And they're dealing with a lot of the police departments and a lot of the cities over in the Itasca County area. And Jordan, the chief, wants to talk to Dean about possibly changing the city to them. What they say that CW, the tech outfit, the city got, was paying like $2,000 a month to them. And they're like, for what? Whereas they only bill when they're needed. So it's something that Jordan said he'll be talking to Dean, and we approved it for the PD to do it, and they're gonna come in and they have to be brought back up to BCA standards now. PD, they've got the white lock cabinet for the servers, but it sounds like a pretty good entity to be dealing with, and a lot cheaper. I mean, for $2,000 a month, it's like, what's the city getting? Right. So they can make a savings for the city. That's about all I have.
Sounds good, thank you. Councilor Ekman?
I was approached actually today to see if I could take over one of the community garden plots and do like a children's garden, vegetable garden this summer. But that was pretty cool, have a look into some funding and stuff, but. So that might be something I might have in the summer, but that's about it.
Very cool. Well, yeah, hopefully everything works out there. Councilor Matheson is gone for me. I guess the only big thing, City Administrator Weiberg and I met with the IRRB and county to discuss the city getting a hold of the land once the Bow School is torn down. So I think at some point we'll possibly be looking at purchasing that. But we have more meetings to come with the county, so hopefully that can work out and the city can purchase that, and we can kind of decide what we want to do with it. But other than that, that's kind of the main thing that I have with mayor duties. So that's it for me. Nothing for old business. Moving
I
on.
have one thing.
Yes.
I was approached by somebody past weekend that is currently looking to buy one of the lots that leads in Melbourne. But I'm wondering, Tammy, has anything come through on the deeds for this thing?
I don't know if we've gotten anything finalized on those yet. I was gone last week, so I'm not sure.
You see anything?
I had talked with Dean earlier today, and I guess before and asked about that. We were gonna try to touch base with it.
Okay.
So someone new coming in and buying some.
Somebody else wants to buy something, somebody that's out there right now, and until the deeds come through.
Right.
And it gets transferred, there's nothing.
Right.
Sell till you're the owner, so.
Well, yeah, the county originally said that it should be done by the end of summer, and that's what I told the people dealing with. And it still hasn't come to fruition.
In the home also. All right. So yeah, hopefully City Administrator Weiberg and City Attorney Lewicki can touch base, and hopefully that gets figured out sooner rather than later. But thanks to them for getting on top of that. So moving on to new business, 11.1 North Shore Development Stakeholder Meeting Request. So previously, we had approved this North Shore group to essentially come into town and some of do like a study to figure out what the housing needs are and how to address those. Is that right? Sure. I'm giving a summary of that basic.
Yeah, we've been on a housing committee through the Joint Powers Board for the last couple of years, and he was a gentleman who ran the HRA up in Cook County, and now he has his own business, North Shore Development, where he consults with cities, and so we're gonna have him through the Joint Powers Board to assist all 4 communities, but then some of the communities decided they wanted just to deal with them separately, so now he's dealing with each city individually to work on what we want and need for housing, and then he's very well educated and has a lot of experience in that area. So he's just here to offer our assistance through a grant he received.
So do they do the actual developing of housing, or
He does not do developing, no.
but they can give us people? to
He has
do
a
it?
lot of, knowledge on, who to contact, or there are a couple, in the city of Aurora, they have a couple developers already that they're dealing with.
Mhm.
And we have a list of those, at our housing committee that Carl from Northspan has. So we already have some leads on interested developers. They need a project
Right.
before they can make a development, so.
Sounds good. Yeah, I had, Carl reach out to me, about, cause they're gonna be, this North Shore group is gonna be coming to town to have these meetings to discuss kind of what the city is needing, what we're looking for. So we're just looking at who should be attending those meetings, with Sherry being on the East Range Joint Powers Board and the housing specific thing. We want her to attend that. And then I was thinking I could attend that too. Dave or Jill, are you really wanting to be a part of that, or so that this housing group is coming into town, and they're gonna have meetings. So I was just putting on the agenda to see who would want to do that.
It's only during the day. It says be on a Tuesday for 2 to 3 hours. So yeah, they're usually during the daytime.
It's a one-time meeting or?
I think they're gonna be, they said 2 or 3.
Over the course of the next year, they'll meet 2 or 3 different times.
So for sure, we want Sherry to go to it, and I said I would be willing to go to it, unless Jill or Dave, you guys wanted to go.
Want to?
Yeah, I mean,
And they are looking for like community stakeholders, maybe someone from the senior citizens group knows, what they're looking for in housing. Maybe some people who have looked at renting apartments and there's nothing here, maybe they have some input. I mean, so they do want like a community group. If there's other people besides us that would like to be part of that discussion, they're looking for, a few people who would be able to give some good feedback.
We're gonna find out what's desired.
Yeah, I mean, the Joint Powers has done a couple different housing studies over the last, I think it's like 2 years old, the last one we did. So we have a good idea, but you never really know until you hear from the people. I mean, in Aurora, they're really focused on getting seniors into what they call patio homes or one-level living. Then that home that they were in opens up for a family to come move in that needs, 2 or 3 bedrooms and 2 levels. So you don't necessarily need to build new homes. If you can build 1 level or apartment type townhome housing for the older people to move into, that opens up more single family homes for that group of people. So that's their focus in Aurora right now, is senior housing. And in turn, they'll open it up to single family once they get their housing. So then, every city's different. So depending on what we think, do we need more apartments? Do we need more 1-level homes?
There's been a lot of development in the area of what you're talking about. Mount Iron, Buell.
There has been, yeah.
With those one-level homes, typically 4-plexes. And they fill up very quickly.
They do, yeah. So it's needed, definitely. We just have to, and you can do a mixture of things. That's what this whole conversation will be about. Do you want the Bose property to be some apartments down below by Fairfax, maybe some 2-story apartment, and then up top, single family, 1-story homes for people? It's just a whole discussion of what's needed in the area.
So you're looking.
I was just using that as an example. We don't even own that, so really we can't count on that, but it could be a discussion. Yeah.
Said that you wanted to do low income housing, and I am adamantly opposed.
Well, the term low income housing isn't used anymore. It's just attainable housing. It's just housing. Like everyone, well, it's a way, just, everyone deserves a home. Whether they may, right. Yeah, go ahead, I welcome it. Anyone you want. Yeah. So it's now the new key phrase is just attainable housing. So everyone has a chance to take pride in owning a home and having that ownership and something to show for their. That's what we're talking about, home ownership. Yep, is our focus.
Houses that are gonna be rented out. I am opposed to it because they cannot take care of their property.
And that's the whole discussion about what we think we want and need and.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, based on the people I've talked to, similar things that you've said, so I don't think that's something that I would push either, so. I think if they were going to build something, I would be more.
You can go to that meeting.
Right. No, but I mean, I've heard similar things, and I don't think I would be part of something like an Iron Gate being built there, so. I mean, looking at houses and housing. Right, right, yeah, but yeah, I mean, yeah, totally open to suggestions, but I've talked to a lot of people already and have heard similar things, so. But yeah, thank you.
There's that guy in the permit a couple of years ago, the car again was like. Somebody needs to go over there and know it, because it's gonna drop real.
Yeah, we just, I mean, recently it's a new light officer, so, hopefully things can turn around with her. But. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we got this on the agenda so we could, have two people from the council, so Sarah and I can go to those meetings. We'll have Dean. Is there any folks that you, Jill or Dave, think should be attending those? I mean, for business wise or, it sounded like we had talked to Essentia, or we're thinking like Essentia. I was thinking like New Range, well, like the different bigger corporation type places. Yeah. And kind of maybe see where they're at with things. If they're gonna, start things up sooner or have more people coming in there than anything else. So, those were kind of the people I was thinking.
Because some of the bigger corporations in other towns actually buy some of the housing that they use for their employees because it's such a struggle to find, especially I know New Range has had an issue trying to get people here and have a place for them to live. So some of the bigger companies will actually, buy houses in town and use those as housing for their people, whether it's permanent or just temporary till they can either build one or find one that's suitable for their needs. So that's why they involve, a lot of the employers too.
So yeah, I just wanted that on this discussion so we could kind of talk about who could be attending those. But yeah, we'll have more updates on that and we'll make sure to bring up what residents are wanting or not wanting those meetings.
Are they looking to already get a date on those ones? Let me know. I guess they're wondering if any of those dates are times. Dean had texted, he didn't know if they were trying to lock down a date for either of you, or if you just want to discuss it.
Yeah, I can look at these dates for my calendar and then either,
Go from there.
yeah, just shooting Dean an email and then you two share.
Yeah, I've been talking with Carl.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, whatever is good for you guys.
So yeah, I'll keep that out so I make sure to remember to reach out to them. All right, moving on from 11.1 to 11.2, Bolton Mink Additional Services Request Amendment 001. We have Jake here to speak to that.
Good evening, everyone. So, thank you for providing it. Initially, when the service was provided, we were looking at a substantial completion date being done with the project roughly mid-September. Since then, the project has been extended. Obviously, we're still at work and there's still additional utility work being completed. So as part of that, what we wanted to ask is to have, the initial scope was estimated at roughly $80,000. That's an opportunity for some construction services. But to complete the services and to provide additional as-built documentation, we are asking for an amendment in the term of $20,000 to expand that scope of services. So what this effectively does is it's providing the additional construction administration, as-built documentation, GPSing of existing infrastructure, processing change orders, and still working with construction.
Is there any questions?
It wasn't covered in the original, estimate then?
So our initial estimates, we typically build them hourly, and so we build those estimates based off of the projected construction timeline. So at that time, we submitted the proposal back in roughly June timeline. We were told it was gonna be in September, and now we're into October. And there was a little bit of additional work throughout the project as we kind of went along, so.
But you're talking additional work for the contractor or for Bolton Manning?
For Bolton and May, just to provide us as the contract got extended from December, but September to October, we just have 3 to 4 more weeks of construction observation. That's a person in the field working with the contractor. We've been working with the longer hours. So that's ultimately where the additional time.
Where did the initial timeline come from?
It was based on the discussion with the county when they submitted the contract. And what we've done since then is we've really tailored back the amount of, when I say tailored back, is we've been trying to control our on-site time. And throughout this process to really minimize any sort of additional impact past that point. So like my representative, we have a field inspector and engineer that's been out there. We've been doing things where if we are having a joint project in Aurora, they've been going to Aurora's projects and doing check-ins. We really try to minimize as much as possible what this effect would be from the initial fund standpoint.
What drove the delay, the extension of time for the project?
There were several factors. I mean, it's construction on a system that, to be truthful, with the as-built documentation and some of the other things that we've seen with the system here, there was some items that were not known. They weren't either in the as-built documentation. So when the contract ended up, the items were found. There was different sections of water main that were an addition, as well as some sections that were a subtraction. Some items we found weren't exactly in the same alignment. So these variations typically add up at the end to be where what we bid in the contract price doesn't always end up being what the contract is. So those variations ultimately led to some delays, and I think just some weather issues and a few things that come up.
And those types of things aren't put into that initial timeline. Just to, I mean, you would think, just with it being summer, you would think weather would be a part of it. You would include that into the budgeting and how much it would cost. I guess I'm just wondering.
Sure. Very fair. A lot of times, obviously, we're new to White Lakes and we're learning, like your staff work, we're learning how the White Lakes water system. So in some cases, we have a lot of records and examples that we use from other projects to kind of build these estimates. And on this one with White Lakes, with just the deviations from what the as-built documentation was, it's a fair amount of work. We had some engineers, we had different things, having conversations. So all that just kind of adds up to being a bit larger than we anticipated.
Did Bolton and Mink do the water study for White Lakes last year or the year before?
Correct.
And wouldn't that include looking at the water system? And like, what would, I guess, I would think that doing water study, you'd become pretty familiar with the White Lakes.
It takes a high level at electric usages. So we aren't getting, for lack of a better term, like intimate with individual locations.
Sure.
So from a grid standpoint, we look at your distribution from the as-built documentation, your size, volumetrics. And we did things such as look at water consumption to the demand that's needed. That doesn't get into the level of detail to say like for example, 110, you have this X number of infrastructure, number of valves, those sort of things that are in place.
Okay. Any other questions or things to discuss on the council side of things?
I mean, I realize you guys don't control the construction process, you know, it's the county's project. Their, you know, timeline and their work that got extended. So I don't think it's, you know, your the fault of you guys that this project is going longer than it should have gone. I mean, if you don't do the work listed here, who does? I mean, I don't think we have anyone who can be the construction administrator on the project. So I'm not sure what our other options are if we don't have you guys do it. Who does it? I don't think we have that person.
If I can add, I apologize, forgot to add this. It's not a $20,000 lump sum. This is an hourly estimate, so we would charge onto this however long it takes to complete the work. So with there being roughly a week left of work, and we do have, we did accrue time, obviously, in submitting this, just with the leg for council. So we did accrue some time, and I'm sitting on that. And it's up to you and your decision whether that gets paid or not. I'm ultimately not going to push that. Because we want it to be fair, so that this $20,000, it could be 20,000, it could be less than that, obviously, as we close out. So, like I said, we were trying to be very mindful of the fact that this is a bridge. So.
We don't know like the exact month when the project's complete.
Correct. In approximately 2 weeks, I would actually know what the exact.
Would it make more sense to wait until we get that or?
You would like to wait to hear final that. I wanted to bring it to your attention, and I didn't want to be careless and show up and say, hey, we approved $40,000, some crazy amount, right? I want to be very transparent. So it will be in back in October, the beginning of October, around the 1st or 2nd of all this, just so that you kind of do that. Something happens. So.
Sure. So with the council leaning more towards maybe making a motion to approve, 20,000 as a max, or just waiting until, we get that actual figure and then discussing it at that point.
If we don't approve the additional work, are you guys gonna still do the work in good faith, assuming we're gonna pay you, or like, do we need to approve it now? I assume you would, and that I appreciate you being mindful of your time and trying to.
Yes, we will still do all the work that we're currently, like I said, we've just been minimizing. We can come like in a couple hours during the day to check work at Critical Ventures, document we need to document. And the vendors are out there, and we are keeping tabs and communicating regularly. Also, you have a great public works staff, the public utility director that are involved too. So between all those parties, that's why we're going to continue to do services, and if you decide to reimburse us for that, basically that's what.
Well, if you can understand the hesitancy, because as a council, we've been hit with a number of change orders and amendments that just keep jacking the prices up for everything.
I do. We'll hesitant to put it together.
No,
It's better to know, what's going on, than be surprised later, so.
but yes, obviously being appreciative of all the work you folks do, but just being hesitant, just considering the cost and things like that.
Mhm.
That's my line of questioning and things like that. But you coordinate with Public Works and Public Utilities regarding who would need to be here when and just what the cost would be with that. So I think, waiting until we have that figure before us and then paying it makes a little bit more sense to me. Just with the understanding that you do that work and then we get the bill afterward and then let you know. So the council in favor of doing that. So I guess the motion would be, is there a motion to, deny the ask for the $20,000 at this point, but wait for, the completion of the work from Bolton and Mink, and then they'll provide us with that cost at that point. Is there a motion for that?
I'll make a motion.
Motion from Council Ekman, is there a second?
Hesitantly.
All right, second.
I don't request that you guys really want the on-site time of your members that are out here. It's really not a need for them to sit in front watching an excavator dig all day long. Then they don't have to be here, so we don't have to charge you.
So that goes into the piece about working with Public Works and Public Utilities.
This staff on site has been very flexible about, if they're just digging or it doesn't involve like the water or the sanitary. I haven't seen them on site until they're actually hooking up and doing something with our services. This staff has been pretty.
That's a good thing as opposed to you see foaming trucks, sometimes two on a project.
Yeah.
With people sitting in the cab all day long.
And I've heard people complain about this project going on and on and on, and people just standing there and doing nothing. So,
We have a motion and a second from Councilor Drabla. All those in favor?
I,
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Moving on to 11.3, Bolton Main, 110-665 request, amendment number 2. Please, speak for that again.
So, similar to the rationale that we were talking about. So in front of you is basically an updated, projected cost for the contract that reflects, just some changes and some of the individual milestone other items that were encountered. So in front of you, we have a breakdown of where specifically the items that were either changes to the contract for various reasons. And the second, table 1 and 2 provide you a snapshot of 110 and 665 projection. So overall, like a lot of construction projects, without fully understanding what's in the ground as they go through what is construction, with the variations of construction projects. So both the 110 and 665 project has exhibited changes that ultimately have led to a change in the contract price. These reasons were anything from like additional water main and fittings removals to additional water main and fitting construction, additional fire hydrant removal installation, additional water main installation, sanitary sewer connection, leftover valve excavation, some additional repairs, and then topsoil service damage. Where all these items come from is, as we were moving through the project, we did, like I said, we found out that the as-built documentation varies different ways. When that documentation starts to vary from what is the contract, that means that sometimes there's additional work required of the contractor. So the line items kind of provide you the net differences. Overall, we're seeing a project increase of $3,000 on the 110 project, along with a $70,000 increase on the County Road 665 project. One thing I'd like to add is during the project, initially, there was a leftover looping option that was approved by council earlier this year. That option we were not able to complete in light of timeline. So that's $43,000 that was approved, it's not spent, and that comes back to the contract. So that will be completed with Westover, which is another agenda item topic for an LRIP.
you know, you can put on the west of the project, and then rain, systems of campers.
Right.
Across the street, and then a storm sewer.
There would also be the expansion of the tie on Westover to 110, that would also occur under the Westover project. So
Is that connection going to be made extended south for Westover, or are they gonna have to dig the street up? On the one,
So they won't have to enter into the street, portion of it, but one thing that's been, is the county, based off their schedule, they're going to do chip seal that will go over it in about 2 to 3 years. So as long as Westover is completed prior to that, even though there's going to be soffits into the bituminous, it is going to become a piece of that.
so they can't extend that from the street 685 into Westover, so they don't have to cut 685.
This section would be from Westover into 110. That would be the case.
I'm talking the drain line. That where that storm drain. Over 3 years back.
With the bigger one?
Yeah,
Yeah, so under the Westover project, the 48-inch corrugated storm sewer, that entire storm sewer would be replaced under the Westover project.
but not now, the connection wouldn't be made now. Like I said, I'm just concerned that once they finish off 665, now next year they're gonna go back and cut it and make it up.
No, yes, they chased out of the intersections on 665. So we have tie-in points that are not going to come into the intersection for County Road 665. That's for water main, sanitary sewer, and storm sewer.
And but how about on Westover 110?
On Westover 110, that was that looping project. Due to this time schedule with Carnival, we're not able to get it before they put the final lift on. So that project wasn't able to be completed for schedule. So that they will have to go into the intersection partially. But the county is doing a chip seal on 110 in a couple of years, and so that will ultimately.
Yeah, you said that.
Any other questions for Jake or any further discussion, regarding this amendment?
Is that bond, so see where it says bond information, is that to help pay for some of this project, or is that just our financing piece?
So, I'm hoping Dean's gonna be here tonight, because we've been changing, some information, but it sounds like the project does have a contingency on that, to the bond. I apologize, I do not know what that value is. But I think that was something that was going to be discussed, to look at if that is covered in the contingency project. And I will say this, and, on typical projects that are done just by the city without having like a county or federal, other state agency involvement, a lot of times you install allowances on these projects, have like a contingency. On this one, we had talked with the county early on about installing an allowance, and that's something that could not happen due to the federal funding. So we have had some conversations, we could get an allowance that allow for when the project has modifications or additional tasks that come up.
Yeah, highlighted on one of these forms, it says contingency $43,038. So I don't know if that's the amount we're talking about, but there is a contingency line for 43,000 here. I don't, it's not gonna change the two numbers, right? The 70,000 and the 31, aren't gonna, they're gonna still be what we need to compensate for.
And again, similar to what I said before, so we had a conversation, I talked with Megan, my engineer on the second day, we were talking about some, after we mitigate costs, obviously, that. At the end of the day, when we run the problems like existing water main line is in the trench, they and to show it was, supposed to be abandoned 10, 20 feet off the line. Like the water main has to come out, and unfortunately, that's additional. We're trying to do kind of that if I can leave stuff, but at the end of the day, these costs are just pretty low.
Any other questions for Jake or any further discussion? Sounds like things that were needed to be done, work has been done, so it's just a matter. I guess I don't have anything on my end. There is a motion, to approve Redmond Minks amendment, 002 for additional costs incurred, between Road 665 and 110, totaling, an amount of $2,054.05.
Knowing that we already have the 33,000 of it that they didn't use, that helps offset it a little bit. Still a large number, but it's work that has to be done, and hopefully Dean maybe has some information on other funding options, but I'll make a motion to approve it and finish the project.
Motion for Councilor Grams, is there a second? So we have a second from Councilor Gravla, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Thank you, Jake. Yeah, thank you for all the hard work you and the folks at Bolton Mink do. Don't mean to give you a hard time, but just have questions and want to make sure they get answered. So thank you.
We want to be transparent. That's like one part of your community. So if you have any questions on anything, We're hoping it's one attachment.
Awesome. All right, thank you, Jake. Moving along to 11.4, resolution 2025 XXX, setting the part-time, temporary, and seasonal wages. So I have a note here that preliminary budget included a 7% increase for all employees. But I guess on my end, I would recommend just tabling it until we have, we can talk to Dean and just confirm that that was included in the budget rather than approving a 7% increase for seasonal employees and then that not having been included in the budget. So I guess I would move to table it. And then just knowing what some of the folks make in White Lakes for these part-time positions and then other places. And I think we can discuss if there wants to be an increase, we can talk about that increase. Maybe not necessarily being 7, but I guess I would table it. Is everybody okay with tabling that? Yeah. Okay. All right, so table 11.4, moving on to 11.5, resolution 2025-031, authorization to seek local road improvement program funding for the reconstruction of Westover. And this is something that you've been working with Dean on, Jake. Just getting funding for the Westover project.
Correct. So we can give you an update with Dean's absence here, he's absent, but so local road improvement program is a state program that provides funds up to $1.5 million. So what we're kind of doing is the application is currently open, it's due November 4th. And this is an application that you, as you work through a report, you typically develop your need by construction estimates. I provided Dean the cost of the Westover reconstruction with contingencies along with proposed fees and permits that we required, such as NDA permits, other items like that. So this application would go in. Eric Fulstrom from the county is providing a letter of recommendation in conjunction with this. So you'll have support from the county on this application. Overall, it's our opinion that we think this grant, we have a decent chance of success, specifically as just the history on Westover with it being evaluated by FEMA prior, having to be very handled with that, go through with some failures, along with the fact that it is between two current projects for the county that are investing roughly $5.5 million. So with all this being said, it seems like it'd be a fair application. The one thing I would caution is that with changes in the waste regulator and things that have gone on recently, this the funding has been cut by a third. There's only $41 million available. But even with that being said, it seems like Westover will be a very good grant application. So Dean is working on preparing that in conjunction with the county and we are assisting.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you for providing that information with Dean being gone. So it's really appreciated. So this, resolution would allow the city to look at getting some funding for that reconstruction project, which I think would be good to get some funding rather than us paying everything. Any further discussion or questions regarding this resolution? Hearing none, I will ask for a motion to approve resolution 2025-031, authorization to seek local road improvement program funding for the reconstruction of Westover. So we have a motion from Councilor Javila. Is there a second? Second from Councilor Ekman. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Moving on to 11.6, White Lakes Water Carnival waiver of fees, request for the use of the multipurpose room at the arena for the November 15th, 2025 fundraiser. Dan Darbo sent us letter requesting that for the multipurpose room and arena for a fundraiser, including burger fry, craft fair, and then bingo on the 15th of November. Any questions or discussion regarding that request? Anything to add from you, Sherry, for that? Or?
No, I resigned from the water carnival committee this year, so I am no longer on the committee. It's been 20 years. So it's time. But I know we did this a few years back, and it was a good success. We had the craft fair all day with the burger fry going on, and then we had bingo and burgers into the evening. So it was a good fundraiser, and they're going to try it again.
Mhm. As Mitzi had brought up earlier, getting some people into town for some activities is a good thing, not just for the arena, but for the surrounding businesses. So, is there a motion to approve, the request for the waiver of fees for the arena and the multi-purpose room on November 15th for the one? Counselor Ekman, is there a second? Also, we have a second from Counselor Jarvala. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Moving on to 11.7. Quality flow quote for the rehab of number one lift station. Public Utilities Director, speak to that.
Yeah, so like I touched on a little bit earlier. However, we've been trying to lift our number station. We had it in the budget to get it completely rebuilt next year. We were working on getting into the budget to rebuild it. Unfortunately, we had a very catastrophic failure where, our one pump that was working good, we had a second pump that was kind of intermittent. They both completely went out on us. So I have on Saturday, I had to call quality flow and have the emergency run up here from, I can't remember where, New Prague. So what they did was they pulled our two old pumps out. I thought I gave some pictures of Steve and put them in here, but they were in pretty terrible shape. Some of the claws that clip onto the seat down at the bottom of the wet well were completely rotted. One of the seats for one of the pumps and the plumbing actually down in the lift station is in very bad, deteriorated state where even, so right now we have two, new pumps that are borrowed. Pumps that were borrowed, so right now those are quality flows pumps that they are lending us in that lift station to get us by for now. Even with the new pumps in there, the one that has a bad seat with the plumbing is, we call it blow by, so even when it pumps, it's not pumping with full efficiency, it's blowing water down below in the lift station while it's trying to pump. Since those new ones have been put in, we've had multiple through that lift station for high levels, so we've been monitoring it quite a bit. The cost of rebuilding our old pumps, he said, would be as much, if not more, as buying two pumps. They were in such bad state, and the plumbing as well inside, as I believe some of the pictures show, is in pretty deteriorated and need of reconstruction. I do believe we have the money in our infrastructure budget for it. However, it's gonna put us probably, could potentially put us in a bind if we have multiple water breaks before we move to budget here. Because that'll come down to the budget and it would be kind of close. However, this is something that is, I don't see a way around it. And according to his quote, I had a couple different quotes that he gave, I put the one in. So if we have them, instead of just getting, he gave us a quote for just doing the two new pumps, put in there without rehabbing the renovation. That would, I believe, right around the same cost of 29,000. But we saved 4,500 if we can have them come up in one trip and do the entire rehab, which would be just $44,253. Otherwise, if we have to have them come back to rehab the lift station, which, like I said, we already have one that we can pump in. It's not going to pump very efficiently. Be more than likely going to have issues until it gets fixed. It would add another $4,500. Like I said, right now, the pumps that are in there are the ours, they are motor pumps from Poland. And so, that's, any other questions on that?
So the most cost-effective thing they think at this point is purchasing this for the 44,000.
Yes.
And then, yeah, it would bring more cost. They have to keep running up here to check those temporary ones and.
Yeah.
If we have it within the budget now, then it makes sense to buy it, but just with the understanding that there are some main breaks and those different types of things that,
I think we'll get it, hopefully we have a decent November and December, and we might do about 25 drinks, but you never know. Usually, November and December usually aren't too hard.
But those are ones we generally have. You know, your costs for a main break can be handled at almost doing for retail tax. Sure. I don't think you're gonna, if you have money in your budget, main breaks.
A dumb question for you, Josh. You got two line items on this quote. First one is in the upper segment, 2 KSB upper guide rail bracket. Wowie, WOWI, what is that?
Good question.
And there's another one down there in the bottom one
I'm
too.
guessing maybe that's the name brand.
Okay, I just,
Well, KSP is the name brand, but maybe that's their model or. I don't know for sure.
like I said, it's the top.
so I guess on my end, if we have the funds for it, and it's something that we need, and it'll be kind of a cost saver. We just do it now rather than kicking it down the road and then incurring more costs adding on to something that we'll have to do anyways. I mean,
How long did it let us?
right, yeah.
Their homes.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, but Josh's recommendation and then just hearing about it makes sense to purchase those now. Is there any other further discussion or questions for this? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve the purchase of or approve the quote provided by
Was 44.
yeah, the $44,453 for the quote we were provided from Quality Flow. We have a motion from Counselor Sharla. Is there a second?
One second.
We have a second from Counselor Grams. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Moving on to 11.8, recommendation by the Planning Commission to appoint Leslie Sale to fill the current vacancy on this. The Planning Commission obviously must have did interviews, and through those interviews, they're recommending the appointing of Leslie Sale. So any questions or discussion regarding that? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to appoint Leslie Sale to fill the vacancy.
I'll make that motion.
From Councilor Grams, is there a second? Second from Councilor Ekman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Moving on to 11.9, recommendation to hire part-time / seasonal and phone operators. Do you mind speaking a little bit to this, Tammy? Did you see or get the applications or?
Betsy and I accepted some as they came in. I'm assuming the number that he's putting down to hire, there's 6 of them down, is partially because, it's scheduling. Sometimes, I think one of them, Casey, actually goes away for a month or 2 in the winter now.
Yes, I'd spoken to Director Peterson and he had mentioned, like hiring all of these folks, knowing that not all of them will be working at the same time, obviously, but some will be here during certain times and some won't be, so it's just a matter of scheduling.
Scheduling, I think, more than anything, yeah. But beyond that, I haven't talked to Bucky about it. Yeah.
So yeah, he must have went over the applications. I don't think it includes interviews. Is that how it worked for you, Joe, with the parts and crafts? You just put in the application and then did you have to interview for it? I don't think they have to do interviews for the part.
They haven't in the past.
So yeah, whatever the process is, yeah, he's making the recommendation to hire these 6 folks. So Chris Freeland, Wade West, Barry Crandall, Ken Ogie, Stephen Peterson Sr., and Mark Mitchell for the part-time seasonal sample. So is there any questions or discussion regarding that? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to, approve, the offer of the part-time seasonal Zamboni operator positions to those folks that I had listed. Just pending, I guess, whatever sort of they have to do for that, hiring processes for that, but.
Yeah, this, for the part-timers, it's pretty easy. In these roles, it's just the paperwork.
Oh,
Some
so
testing
pending
and thing. Yeah.
the completion of the paperwork.
Mhm.
So there a motion, to approve those folks?
I'll make a motion.
Motion from Counselor Ekman, second from Counselor Jarva. All those in favor? I'll abstain. Motion carried. Moving on to 11.10, we're almost to the end. Max Gray, application number 12, for $255,465.11. So we're provided with that. These look a lot like the one we've previously gotten. From Max Gray.
Let's see, it's 80% completed, but I was trying to see if there was anything on here about, budgeted amount and what amount we're at, and I don't see that on here, but that's something Dean can look. I don't, let's see, brought it up if we were on schedule. So I don't see that information on this, pay request, but I see that we're 80% complete, so hopefully we're getting close. Almost done.
Any other further discussion or questions regarding this? Like I said, it looks a lot like the previous ones we've got. So almost done with the project, which is good. So, is there a motion to approve that pay application number 12?
I'll make a motion.
Motion from Council Ekman. Is there a second?
A second.
Second from Councilor Grams. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. 11.11, write-off of uncollected. Do you know much about this, Tammy?
Not an awful lot. I've heard Betsy talk about it a little bit. Mutter's Market, of course, that 13,000 is unpaid garbage bags from when they were still open. It was turned over to collections with no success, and we can't assess that to their property taxes. We can assess utilities and like blight, but we can't assess unpaid garbage bags.
If I remember right with that collection, they would take a piece of what we got, right?
Yeah,
So
they
it's
take a
not-
percentage, yeah. I'm
I
not
think
sure
it's
what it is.
I think it's not a large percentage, but I thought it was around like 30%.
Okay. I remember it being, yeah, it's been a while since we sent that to collections. But too bad they weren't able to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not incurring a ton of cost because we had them do it and weren't successful, so. And then some blight charges, almost tax forfeited, so I'm able to assess that. And then some more blight charges, owner deceased, house foreclosed on, so I'm able to assess that. So all these, I guess, make sense to write off. Any other further discussion, or questions for, the approval of writing off, these uncollected accounts?
The other two individual ones are a small amount, and if we can't assess them to their tax roll, I mean, there's no way to recoup them, especially when one of the owners is deceased and Motter's Market is no longer in business. I don't know. Consider that a donation to help them stay in business while they were here and wash our hands of it.
Question, Terry, are you aware of, with Mother's Market, with the collections, are they able to go after the owners or just strictly the business?
Well, if they're a corporation, then it's just the corporation, not the individual.
Corporations can't-
So if they were a Motter's Market corporation, then they can't go over any individual owners. That's why they incorporate to protect their individual assets.
I guess just for curiosity's sake, Joel, what generally do people do if they send something to collections and nothing happens because of that?
Well, you said they filed bankruptcy, you could. It's an out, yeah. Bankruptcy. Yeah. So But yeah, I know, it's very well. So that's fine.
If we wanted to be included in their bankruptcy, if they don't list us as one of their debts, how do you go about being added to their? Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure when they file.
I heard the city was included that along with mine.
Why would we?
Would we incur costs if we went through that process? I think at this point, just writing it off. We put a lot of time and effort in it.
Even if you win a judgment in bankruptcy, there's no guarantee you're ever gonna get it.
Right,
Did that with Water Carnival, we sued someone for breach of contract, we won. You never got the money. I mean, if they don't have it, they don't have it. You're never getting it. So.
I think at
know
this point, just
easier to
talking
clean
about,
off the books if you know you're really not gonna get it, so.
yeah, unfortunate and wish things would have went better for us and them, but unfortunately. Any other questions or discussion with this piece? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to write out those uncollected accounts.
I'll make that motion.
Motion from Counselor Grams, is there a second? Second from Counselor Jarvala, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? I think Joe said you lose.
Oh,
Joe
okay.
said. Yeah, okay, so motion. Then moving on to the last piece of the agenda. Personnel Committee candidate recommendation for water, wastewater position. I can speak to it. Do you want to speak to it? I can if it doesn't. So we interviewed, what, 3 candidates? 3 qualified candidates, all experienced in the public utility side of things. Hard decision, but just based on the answers that were provided and the applications, we felt that the best candidate for the position would be Kyle Leffel. Yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. He has experience working in public utilities in another city, other experience that would help him on the job too. Had good answers to the questions. Application was impressive. So yeah, we felt that the best person for the position would be Kyle Leffel. So.
Does he have licensure necessarily?
So you,
He doesn't hold the direct, like water wastewater licensing. However, with the state, he can work under my licenses and on our facilities for a year. And then he's eligible to take his exams to get his licenses. That also being said, they would break it into, minimum qualifications, either the licenses or the ability to get within 18 months. So he needs for those qualifications, he'd be able to work for that 6 months to get his license. But he does have a lot of experience in the field. And more so than kind of.
He's aware if he doesn't get it, then.
Yeah.
He's done.
We can make it over.
Yeah, no, but I'm assuming that it's all.
Rural water, which we are the Rural Water Association. And they have, because this is becoming a thing where there's not a lot of water wastewater operators, licensed water wastewater operators out there. So it's getting harder and harder for cities to get, so now the Rural Water Association, offers an apprenticeship program that will help train him on our facility and on water wastewater stuff and help him expedite getting his license.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments for that? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve the recommendation to hire Kyle Leffel for the water wastewater position, just pending him the completing of all the necessary like drug testing. Okay. So, we have a motion from Counselor Jarvala. Is there a second? Second from Counselor Ekman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. And then moving on to adjournment. Is there a motion for that?
I'll make that motion.
Motion from Counselor Graham, is there a second? Second from Counselor Ekman, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. All right, thank you.
I thought the same thing. Nobody would know about that, I'm sure.
Yeah.